We're going to continue our look at the miracles of Jesus. And I got a question to start you off with today. How great would it be to have Jesus describe you and your faith as a big deal? Describe you as a person of great faith. How would that feel? Because if you look through the Gospels, he's typically talking about the disciples having little faith. Or he's telling them they only need faith as small as a seed, a mustard seed, to make big things happen. So when he looks at the centurion, who has a paralytic or a crippled servant, and he describes his faith as great faith. So he calls it the kind of faith that he has not seen in the likes in all of Israel. And that should stand out to somebody. What would it be like if you were considered someone of great faith? Not by a man, by God. I had a pastor tell me I was a man of great faith. Because I personally believe that if you walked into Impact Church sick, you would walk out whole. Every inch of my being believed that. The presence of God that was in that place, no illness could stand up to. And we saw some cool things happen there, by the way. But the story we're going to look at is a story of the centurion's faith. It's found in two places in the Gospels. If you look in Matthew 8, 5 through 13, or if you look in Luke 7, 1 through 10, you're going to find the accounts that happen here. They say, I wrote stories on here, but they're not stories. Stories imply that they're made up. Accounts are historical accounts, something that did happen, and I firmly believe they did happen. So we're going to call them accounts. And I'm just going to kind of summarize it. The centurion was valuable. He had a valuable servant that was sick. Some say he was a paralytic. Some said he had a disease that was killing him. We don't know. It said he was sick. But he heard about Jesus. And he had the elders ask Jesus to heal his servant. And Jesus was on his way, and the centurion told him to just say the word, and his servant would be healed. The centurion just said, just say the word, Jesus, I know it'll work. And Jesus commends his faith. And at that very moment, the servant was healed. That's pretty cool. So what can we learn from this? I mean, what can we learn? What we should be able to learn from here is that we should ask for help using wisdom to build faith through understanding and become a person of value. So we're going to look at wisdom. We're going to look at building faith through understanding. And we're going to look about adding value to our lives in this. So I have had this question for me a few times. How do you be wise? I don't know. I'm not always wise. But anyway, it asks for help using wisdom. The first lesson that stands out in this story is his faith. In his faith is that he is asking for help using wisdom. Now, I don't know about you, but I can't go very far in life and not ask for a little bit of help every once in a while. But who should we ask? We ask the right people in the right way. The centurion asked for help. In Matthew's account, it says it starts with him asking Jesus for help. When Jesus entered Capernaum, the centurion came to him asking for help. Lord, he said, my servant lies at home paralyzed, suffering terribly. In Luke's account, it's a little bit different, a little more detail in it. Luke's more verses, a little more going on. In 7:3, it says this in Luke. The centurion heard of Jesus and sent some elders of the Jews to him, asking him to come and heal his servant. Now, I like Luke is probably one of my favorite gospels for historical accuracy because Luke was a doctor. A lot of pastors call him Dr. Luke. And Luke's known for his meticulous nature of the facts, his meticulous understanding of the facts and putting the facts in. Where Matthew, Mark, and Luke and John will pull on your heartstrings a little bit, Luke is typically believed to be the technically accurate gospel. So he heard that Jesus was in town. He sent some elders of the Jews to ask him to come and heal his servant. See this? Let me get a drink here. The centurion approached Jesus because he had a problem. And he knew that Jesus had the power to solve it. And that sounds pretty straightforward, doesn't it? But how many times do we find ourselves with a problem and we don't ask for help? How many times do we do that? And what's more, if we do ask for help, we tend to ask people that can't help us anyway. Because Matthew 7:7 says this, ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be open to you. Think about this for a moment. If you've had a problem, and you assumed it was simply unique to you, it was just your problem, so you don't bother asking anybody else for help. Or you've had a problem, and you ask someone who is inexperienced or family people for suggestions that maybe weren't the wisest people to ask. The example would be here, we find ourselves consulting unhealthy people for health advice. I am the last person at 300 pounds for you to ask how to eat healthy. I'm just not good at it. How about broke people for money advice? If you need money advice, find somebody who's got money. They can probably give you advice on how to invest or save properly. Don't ask someone whose bank account's got a bunch of zeros at the front of it, not at the end of it. But the centurion not only asked for help, he was smart enough to ask someone he knew could actually help him. And like him, seek help and seek it from someone who could provide the help. That's what we need to do. See, the centurion asked through the elders. Making this request through the elders of the Jews teaches us to ask in the right way. As a non-Jew, he considered himself unworthy of Jesus, even coming under his roof. He says, I'm too unclean for you to even grace my house because I don't deserve it. But if he sent Jews who were considered respected in the community and asked on his behalf. Also, the way you ask is important. As insignificant as your tone may seem, your tone can make a difference. Asking when a person isn't hungry or busy can change the outcome here. Don't ask somebody at the dinner table. Don't call them at dinner time and ask for something. Don't call them while they're up to their armpits in work, because you're probably not going to get the greatest response. And now the centurion likely realized this, because the reputation of the asker can work in your favor. So when you have a problem, my friends, although it seems like no one can help you, chances are somebody can help you. My friends, my advice is to find some qualified people. Ask them people that have a little wisdom to help using that for helping using that wisdom. My friends, we have wisdom in us. Wisdom is just experience. I always tell people that say, I love what this older guy says. He says, I am wise because God protected me when I was young and stupid. So if you're young, you'll get there. But learn to ask the right people. That's what we're talking about here. Next thing this teaches us is the centurion's faith. The account here is the centurion's faith is to build faith through understanding. See, the centurion had an understanding how authority worked. He was a Roman soldier. It led him to make, though, a bold request of Jesus. But his faith was based on understanding. In this account, the centurion told Jesus, Lord, I do not deserve to have you come under my roof, but just say the word, and my servant will be healed. That's what Matthew says here. Go to 8:9. It says here, for I myself am a man under authority with soldiers under me. I tell this one go and he goes, and that one to come and he comes. I say to my servant, do this, and he does it. The centurion was confident that Jesus could heal his boy by just saying the word. And that sort of confidence just doesn't come out of nowhere. It doesn't come out of thin air, my friends. It comes from understanding. He's heard of Jesus. He's heard the things that Jesus has done. He has heard enough about Jesus that he realizes he could be the solution to my problem. If you sit in a church every Sunday and you're listening to what I'm saying, you should be learning enough about Jesus to know he's the answer to your problem. If you go to another church and your pastor's not telling you that Jesus is the answer to your problem, you need to find a different church. Because Jesus is the answer, my friends. The centurion had the experience that made him aware that Jesus' ability to heal without coming to his servant. Just say the word, Lord. So naturally, understanding that it was an option, he requested it. He requested it pretty confidently. Jesus, I know you can do it just by saying a word. Please say the word. And if you got this kind of understanding, it makes you kind of confident. Have you ever answered someone's question immediately because you had an understanding of the subject? That's the power of understanding, my friends. It doesn't leave room for hesitance. It causes us to act confidently. This confidence is the essence of our faith. If you listen to Hebrews right here, it defines it. Confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. That's what faith is. Confidence in what we hope for and assurance in things we cannot see yet. With that definition in mind, we can see why Jesus commented on the centurion's request by saying, truly I tell you, I have not found anyone in Israel with such great faith. I have found no one in my people that have this much faith. It's like I live in Iowa. It's not like I didn't find anybody in New York that had my faith. No, I found nobody around my people, my circle of influence, even my disciples that have this much faith. So if you want to build faith, you want to have faith, my friends, invest in understanding. Just like our understanding of a subject causes us to respond to questions confidently. Understanding God's word and how God works makes us confident in Him. Why do you think we've been reading the Bible for 25 days? Every day I've been encouraging you to read the Bible, because if you understand God's word, you can understand God's voice, you can understand God's character, and you can go to him with confidence. If you don't know the language, you can't speak it. If you don't read the Bible, you can't speak God's word. And you can't go to him with confidence because you don't know. So my friends, please understand to invest a little time. Spend time in God's word. You'll be surprised. But like the centurion, when you encounter a situation that requires you to act in faith, if you've invested, you can do so. You'll know how. You'll be able to do it in confidence. It'll be natural to you, because your actions will be supported by the truths that you understand. The final lesson here is to become a person of value. The story of the centurion's faith also encourages to do this. Be a person of value means that society finds the contributions you make valuable. As a result, people make sure you're cared for. The centurion found his servant valuable. He was described as a person of great value. In Luke's account of the story, indicates this by saying the servant was one the master valued highly. That's Luke 7:2. The centurion's value for his servant was only a thought, but it showed up in the centurion's actions. When his servant was sick and about to die, he sought to make his servant better. In 7:3, the centurion heard of Jesus and sent some elders of the Jews to him, asking him to come and heal his servant. If the servant wasn't valuable, if the servant was lazy, if the servant wasn't worth his time, there's a chance the centurion wouldn't have made the effort to help. He would not have made this request to the elders. Even worse, if he was a problem, he may not have made any effort to help. He may have just let him die. But, I mean, think about it. It'd be similar to a company here. If your boss finds you valuable, they will usually do what it takes to keep you and make you happy. But if your boss thinks you're a pain, if your boss doesn't see your value as a good thing, he might use that opportunity just to let you go. The elders of the Jews found this centurion valuable as well. This story of the centurion's faith suggests that the elders found the centurion to be a pretty good guy. Matthew's account of the story states that the centurion asked Jesus for help. But Luke specifically says he sent some elders to ask. Now, the relations between the Romans and the Jews wasn't very good. The Romans were an occupying force. But something about this centurion, there's something about him, that the elders were willing to go ask Jesus for him. And the fact that they were willing to do this shows that he was of some value to the elders, whatever it was. As we've talked about earlier, the Roman soldier was in charge of 100 men or so. And the Romans had conquered those Jews. But there was something different about this guy. Luke 7:4 points it out when he says this: when they came to Jesus, they pleaded earnestly with him. This man deserves to have you do this, because he loves our nation and has built our synagogue. There was something special about this dude. The elders liked him, loved him, probably, possibly. To the elders, he deserved any help that he could get because he did valuable things for them. He was not your typical Roman. And the actions of the elders in Luke reflect that he wasn't your typical Roman. My friends, I encourage you to be valuable to everyone. Learn from how the elders treated the centurion. Don't just be a person of value to some people. Be a person of value to everyone. I had a friend when I was in Pensacola. His name was Lamar. Lamar had a heart of gold. He also had COPD. At his funeral, the church he was in sat about 400 people. My wife and I got there about 45 minutes early and had to stand in the foyer. That's a valuable person. That was a great guy. That was a man of great faith. He had a voice that was smooth as silk. It was really cool to listen to him. But learning from how they treated him, be of value to everyone. You never know, my friends. You never know who you'll need to rely on in the future. This is the way God desires us to be. He said this in Luke 6, 32 and 33. If you love those who love you, what credit is it to you? Even sinners love those who love them. If you do good to those who are good to you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners do that. Therefore, become a person of value, my friends. Not only does it pay to be one, it's also what God desires us to do. See, the centurion's story of faith, in my opinion, is pretty unforgettable. It's another one of those little miracles we kind of blow by at 1,000 miles an hour. If you watch The Chosen, it's kind of drawn out a little bit. But when you read it, you get in the flow and you just kind of read through it. Okay, another miracle of Jesus. Cool, check. But the lessons in this passage are invaluable because they teach us to ask for help using wisdom, to build faith through understanding, through the study of God's word, through prayer, and through walking the walk we talk, and to become a person of value. I hope you're blessed, my friends. Have a great evening. I love you all.